Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 509, coming to you from on location in Nova Scotia. I'm Mike Wendland, and this is my lifelong traveling companion and my bride, Jennifer. And we are out exploring.
And it is so much fun to explore Nova Scotia. If you haven't been here, it's worth the trip. The villages are charming, the people are very pleasant, the food is excellent, and I'm glad we're here.
We are here as part of the Fantasy RV Tours Best of the Canadian Maritime Provinces. It's a 27-day tour. We're here with about 50 folks. Most of them are supporters or followers of our RV lifestyle platform, and we've had a great time with all of them. Behind us is a place called Blue Rocks, and it is just a delightful small little fishing village, and the spectacular shorelines. That is the Atlantic behind us, and it's a great spot. Every place you go up here, it seems you find these beautiful little coves, and it's been really fun. So on this episode of the podcast, we're going to talk about a couple of things. The main discussion after the social media buzz is going to be Starlink, and we've had our ultimate Starlink system now that we had installed a year ago, and we are going to give you an assessment of what we think Starlink means for RVers. We're going to go over a couple of the new plans that are out there, but we'll give you basically how Starlink has performed for us as we live the RV lifestyle in all of our travels. We also have some questions. Many of you have been sending us questions about this tour, and we'll answer some of those as well. What have we been doing? Let's see. Probably the most exciting thing was we talked about all these massive tidal surges. The tides are 50 feet long.
They come in and they go out, and it's fun to watch. We have seen some of the largest
50 feet and
in the world.
We
They're here.
literally drove across. We just have a video up on our YouTube channel. You can check that out on New Brunswick, where we drove the ocean floor. And then the most exciting thing is at a place called Flower Pot Rocks. We really had a great time there. We were walking on the ocean floor, and then 5 hours later we came back and we kayaked in. The water was 40 feet deep.
And there were 4-foot waves.
And 4-foot waves, and that was fun. All right, right now, let's do a really quick thing to check in with Wendy Boyer. Wendy kind of does all the cat wrangling on our RV Lifestyle Facebook group and our community. And after we hear from Wendy, we're going to take you inside our RV, and I'm going to show you our satellite system and how it works, and give you some screen grabs of how well it's performed, and we'll give you an assessment of that. And following that, we'll come back with some questions. So stay with us.
Hi, everybody. Over in our RV Lifestyle Community's camping gear space, we recently asked what's one piece of equipment you can't imagine camping without? And this generated a lot of responses. I just love this sort of question. It's just fun to read to me. And by judging by all the responses, I think a lot of you like it as well. So some of the things that were listed included a tire pressure monitoring system, a good surge protector, good water pressure regulator. Some people like griddles like Blackstone, and some people want gas grills. What came up is it's good to have somewhere to cook outside in the heat so that heat's not in your rig, and also keep the smells outside. Got to appreciate that. E-bikes came up, and then the item that was there the most that surprised me a little bit was the Berkey water filtration system. Many people said they can't imagine camping without their Berkey. Heard great things about that system, but anyway, this post was really fun to read, and you'll have to check it out. We'll put a link in the show notes. Also in the community, in the mods and DIY tweak space, there was a post from Richard. Now, Richard went camping with a friend earlier this year, and when they took that kitchen table and made it into a bed, it broke. His friend sat right in the middle of it, and it broke. Particle board just broke. So what to do? Richard decided to make a new one. So he cut a piece of 3/4 inch plywood to size. He stained it. He finished it. He put this rubber edging that he got off Amazon all around it. And then he shared a picture with the group, and it looks so nice. Lots of people said, great job. We'll have to put a picture of this in the show notes so you can see how nice it was. And great job, Richard. And then finally, over in our RV Lifestyle Facebook group, we had an etiquette question that got people talking. And this question was from Jim. He asked for campgrounds that employ an employee or a host drive you in a golf cart out to your campsite. Is it customary to tip? Now, Jim was thinking that you're not supposed to tip, but he wasn't sure, so he asked. And you got to appreciate that. He's trying to do the right thing. And let's face it, this tipping culture can be very confusing sometimes. So, of the hundreds and hundreds of people who responded, the majority said no, it's not customary to tip. And of course, many campgrounds don't even have this. If you're at a state park or a national park, chances are no one's driving you in a golf cart to your site. But for those private campgrounds, and especially those resorts, you're going to probably see this. I thought it was interesting. Many people who have this job said, hey, this is my job. I don't expect a tip. Never have, never would. So that was interesting. Several people said that. Several others said that, campgrounds that are big and private, a lot of times they have someone drive you there to make sure there's no mistakes made, that you don't bump into anything, that you don't accidentally go to the wrong site, that you hook up to the right place. So it's a little bit for them as well. But there were still some people who said you should tip. And one of those people was Larry. Larry wrote, if I go to a place where someone helps me to park me, disconnect me, and then reconnect me when I leave, I'm going to give them a tip. So I understand that too. Interesting post and lots of different opinions there. And that's it for me this week. I'm Wendy Boyer, and I'll see you over in the RV Lifestyle community or Facebook group.
Back in the RV now, and it's time to talk about our conversation of the week, which is going to be my experiences with Starlink. Now, it was about a year ago that we installed what's known as the Ultimate Road Warrior Internet Bundle from a company called Mobile Must Have. I have been their customer now for a year, and I'm going to give you a quick update on how that has gone. But I've actually been a Starlink customer since 2022. I bought the as soon as it became available, I got the Dishy system and have used that all around the country, and it has done great. But for the past year, I have been using this new system from Mobile Must Have, which involves a very powerful router from Peplink, a special Starlink antenna, a high-performance, flat-mounted, permanently mounted antenna up on the roof of our RV, and their Pyrenees 11-in-1 antenna that I use to broadcast a Wi-Fi network, so that I can use it around. Actually, I have two networks. The router lets me do two networks, so I can have it around the RV, and I have one inside the RV. Now, my system, other than the fact that we've had it for a year, we did a big video that I'll put a link to in the show notes, and you can check on that and you can see exactly how we installed it. But my system is clearly not for everyone. It cost about $5,000 a year ago. I just looked today, and they're having a sale, and it's like $3,500 for the same system. But that said, I need to have 100% reliable uptime on my satellite, on my internet connections, and that's why I got this system. It's way overkill for the average RVer, and even for most remote workers, you don't need that much. You can get by with a much less expensive system. And rather than go into all of the little details and questions, if you have questions, you can contact them. They're not a sponsor of this at all. But these guys are very patient in explaining the systems and how everything works. And I recommend that you give them a call and talk to them, tell them about your needs. It's mobilemusthave.com. That's their website. And we'll put a link in the show notes. Now, again, my system is different. My system with this special Peplink router, it's their Max BR2 router is what it's called. And it allows me to have dual 5G cellular connections and Starlink. And they have a proprietary system called Speed Fusion, which lets the system take the best signal from, in my case, T-Mobile and Verizon. Those are the two cellular systems that I have, and Starlink. And it fuses those three connections together into one very stable, reliable connection. That's one of the networks that I use a lot. Mostly I use that for streaming when I go live. Now, what do I pay for all of this? A lot. The Starlink subscription that I have, that I'm under, is still $150 a month, and that is unlimited. It is basically unthrottled from Starlink because I have that super duper antenna, which seems to grab the signals faster and more stable than my dishy antenna. I also pay $100 a month to T-Mobile for an unlimited data connection that is also fused in there. And I already have a Verizon system that I'm able to use, so I'm paying about $250 between all three of those systems. You don't need to do that. In the vast majority of cases, most RVers can get by with just the Starlink system. We have been extremely pleased with it. I haven't talked a lot about it because the system I have is so expensive, and I would expect it to be really good. That's why we got it. But when I talk about something that's as expensive as ours, I hear from a lot of people, well, I don't want to spend that kind of money. And I realize that, my needs are not typical needs, so I haven't said much. But I have been asked so much lately by people, both here on the tour that we're doing in the Maritimes by other RVers and through email, to give you my assessment after a year of use. And after a year of use, I will tell you that the Starlink system has performed better than any other internet system I have. We're on the road, half to 3/4 of the time, and I rely entirely on this ultimate road warrior bundle that came from Mobile Must Have. And the system that does the lion's amount of work is Starlink. And it has worked from coast to coast, across North America, and up here in Canada. I was a little concerned about how it would do in Canada because the T-Mobile 5G system is not really built up where we are here in the provinces. And really in much of very rural wilderness areas like we have been in Maine and in here, the cellular systems have been little to non-existent in some cases. I didn't have phone service for a couple, 3 days this past week because we were in such a remote area. But I never lost internet connections, never lost them at all. So that's how it has all been. But I think the best thing for me to do is just to show you how fast this works. I have up before me on my computer the speed test app, and we're going to run that and actually show you how I do with speed. So let's start it. This is connecting to the Starlink SpaceX system. And we're going to hit go, and off it goes. So let's see how fast we're doing right now. And we'll see. As you can see, the download speeds are pretty phenomenal. It's still going, but it's going to average, over probably 200. But those are just really, 199.85. Now it's doing the upload speeds, which to me are really important as a content creator because that's how I do my live streams. And that is a rock solid 20 Mbps upload speed, which allows me to send my videos. So there you go, 200 Mbps download, 18.44 is the official reading on the upload speeds. And you can do this over and over again, and sometimes you get a little different results. Depends on how many people are on. There you go. You see, there it is up to 300. You see that? But in the high 200s for the download speed. The system has been like this flawlessly since I've had it, and I have had nothing but good results. So there's a second speed test. And again, you see that it's more than adequate for my needs as a pretty heavy content creator that depends on the internet to get all my stuff out. So there it is, 285.79 Mbps down, 20.96 up. And that is the way it has been consistently. Now, granted, I have that super duper antenna, that extra large satellite antenna from Starlink. It's technically known as the flat high performance antenna It's just it's longer than the standard dishy, and of course much larger than the new mini that they have. But how does the standard dish work? If I look around the campsite here, I can probably see a half dozen Starlink antennas up on different RVs. And I'm going to go talk to a couple of people, and we'll just ask them straight out what their experience has been. Well, we're looking at your Starlink system right up there. How has it worked for you, Rich?
Well, it has been really phenomenal. The only time that we've had problems with it is when severe weather comes through. Really thick clouds, like last night, it really rained here for 20 minutes or so. And we lost signal for maybe 10, and then it came back. But other than that, it's been really fast. It comes up fast. It's easy to align. We don't have it permanently wired, so we've got to run the wire through the slide, but that is really easy. It's just halfway do the slide, then you got plenty of room to do it, and then we put it into the power supply inside, and it works great. It's really easy to use, and it works for the laptop, for the TV, multiple laptops, cell phones. It's phenomenal.
What have you used it for primarily? What kind of stuff do you do?
Mostly, if they were measuring what we're doing truthfully, it would be mostly streaming TV.
Yeah,
she does a lot of work on the computer, so there's a lot of that. I do work on the computer, there's some of that, but it's mostly streaming, and it's just phenomenal. There's no...
And you used it all over the North America here? We're up here way in Canada, and it's of course working, but...
Right. We're relatively new to it, and we got it right before we went on this trip, but we had an adventure getting up to Bar Harbor, 2,000 miles or so. And every time we pulled it out, it worked fine, worked great, no issues at all. It's been phenomenal.
So here we are right next to your Airstream. You don't even have your Starlink as high as it could be.
No, I could, but it's not necessary because there's no obstructions.
Right, so how has Starlink been for you in your Airstream?
Absolutely fantastic. There's people here are not able to get any cell service or anything, can't get online. We're getting full, top speed, almost fiber type speed on the Starlink up here, and we're able to stream anything we want, make phone calls, and it's just like at home.
Yeah, I didn't have phone service at the last place we were at, but was able to use Wi-Fi through Starlink. It's just right now. So, how has it been in the States, south of the border?
This has been the same, like on Atlanta and Tennessee, but of course they got a lot of trees there, so this needs to be placed in a different location to avoid a lot of the obstructions, but still gets great connectivity.
And how much do you pay a month for yours?
I think it's $150 a month.
And you can cancel at any time, right?
Pause at any time.
Yeah.
And then restart it again. And I believe my wife handles it, of course. She handles all the finances on that, but we're able to, if we cancel early or pause it early, they'll carry it over to the next time we turn it back on.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good service.
Yes, it is.
Some people are, I guess, using it for their main internet even at home.
Exactly. Well, we did that a few times already.
Yeah. So you don't have to have it way up in the air.
No, not
and this
at all.
this is the regular size dishy here.
Yes.
Yeah. What's involved in setting it up?
All it is well, it's running right now, but a little adapter right here.
Yeah.
A little plastic adapter, and this flagpole is from Harbor Freights.
Yeah. It's a
And
telescoping flagpole.
Yep. And just snap it right in, and that's it. And then you plug it in. I got it running through the bay over here, and the router's on the side of this window. And be able to power it up, and it finds the satellites, and off it's up and running.
So you're a happy customer.
Overjoyed.
Well, Tim, you have Starlink on your fifth wheel.
Yes.
How has that been? How long have you had it?
It's been wonderful. We've only had it a little over a month, but it's worked really well for us.
Now, you've got it up pretty high there. There's a tree real close to it. Just a matter of getting the satellite, and then you're in.
Right. Yeah. In fact, a lot of times if we're going to be somewhere short, I'll just have it on the ground. But here it was between our big rig and this big rig and that tree, and it just wasn't working very well.
And I see he's got it up there too, right there.
So yeah, I've got it up on a 20-foot pole. I don't have it the full 20-foot high.
How do you use it mostly?
We stream a lot of videos, and then just basic internet stuff, email. That's about it.
And you've been happy with it?
Yeah,
It's
we
worked
love
well.
it. The speeds have been great. Usually 3 to 350 megabytes per second download.
That's good.
So
That's good.
Been very good.
By the way, Rich indicated that he lost signal yesterday during that big storm, and I was also online at the time, and the storm was really fast. But I think because I have a larger flat antenna, that extended flat-mounted antenna up on the roof of this Montana fifth wheel we're in, I didn't really have any disruption at all. The internet worked through a very driving, hard, pouring, deluge type rain. So I have not lost it at all. I've not lost any internet connection at all. The only thing that does interfere with the satellite is if I'm parked under dense trees, a heavy tree cover, lots of leaves. The signals have much more trouble getting through. I will say that I have noted now that as they have added more and more satellites, it seems like every week they're putting another 30 to 100 satellites in the constellation, as Elon Musk calls it. There's a couple thousand up there now working. As they've added more satellites, I have found even in tree cover, I'm getting a little better signal, a little better coverage. But I do try and park with a clear overhead above my roof without tree cover. Sometimes that isn't possible, but most of the time it is. And you just tell them in the park, I like a place I have to do some remote work and I can't have trees over my head, and they usually will accommodate you. So there is our assessment of the Starlink system. After a year, it has been just rock solid for me. And it has been for most all of the RVers I know. I will say that in the U.S., those who are traveling west of the Rockies have genuinely experienced faster service, more reliable service than those in the very crowded eastern part of the country, east of the Mississippi. That is improving too as more satellites are up. And one last thing, there is an option now for in-motion service. In other words, being able to use the Starlink system while you're driving down the road. Now, for us, it isn't really important because we have cellular service that we use when we're driving back and forth on the road, and we don't really access the internet when we're driving. But you can add a service for $2 per gigabyte, which is really quite a bit of data. $2 a gigabyte. You can turn it on and off at will. That will give you priority mobile access. And that is very handy for a lot of folks. It's also something I will use every now and then when I want to upload a long video. Instead of spending 5 or 6 hours uploading a very big video, which are huge files, I can do that a little faster by enabling that special mobile priority. Satellite services from Starlink have been added in the past couple of months. Most recently, there is the Starlink Mini. I did not recommend that when it first came out. They have since modified the terms, and they now have 2 different plans for the Mini. One, and this is why I didn't recommend it. One, it only, when it first came out, it only would allow you to have up to 50 gigabytes of use for a $50 a month fee. $50 a month fee was nice, but 50 gigabytes of use, you can go through that pretty quick. Streaming movies even, or just trying to watch a couple movies during the week will eat that up real quick. So 50 gigabytes a month of internet is not much. But they have since, that plan is still there for those who don't use it a lot. But they also have a $150 option now, which will give you the same thing the standard plan does with the bigger dishy. The advantage of the Mini is it's very, very small and compact. Actually, you can carry it on a backpack if you want. I would personally say if you're going to get the $150 thing program, then get the regular dishy, the full-sized one. It just gives you better coverage. The bigger the antenna, the more data it's going to be able to stream. And then there's one other service that they are about to announce, if they haven't by the time you receive that, and that is kind of like a family and friends discount. in which you can add another Starlink connection. And instead of paying $150 a month for it, it's $100 a month. So that is coming soon if it's not out there by the time you see this. They're always changing their plans. They're always changing their prices. They did drop the price from $5.99 down to $4.99. The mini is $5.99 still. It's a little more expensive. It's another reason I'm still not real keen on it. But check their prices. They change them literally almost every week. There's some new offering or some twist and some new restriction or some lifting of some restriction, like allowing mobile in motion use. A year of Starlink with this new system, it's been awesome. And I have nothing but good things to say about it. Let's get back outside with Jen and do some questions and answers. Okay, we're back, and we're still here at Blue Rocks, which is this beautiful area in Nova Scotia. We'll have a full story on Nova Scotia coming up on YouTube in a couple of weeks. So we've had a couple questions, and let's start with this one. How has the food been? Everybody wants to know food.
The food has been awesome. I can't tell you how good it's been. All naturally, the fresh seafood is worth driving here for. And just a little thing like the bread and the fruit and vegetables, everything is good.
Wouldn't you say that the food is better up here than it is in the States?
Definitely.
There's not as many preservatives. It seems fresher.
It is.
Even
There's no comparison.
Even the candy bars are better.
Even the candy bars are better. Our son-in-law told us to make sure we bought some of the candy, and usually candy doesn't entice me that much.
He has family in Canada, and he missed the Canadian chocolate when he grew up. So we're
I don't know what they
we
do
keep buying
with our U.S. candy.
We keep buying him candy bars we're going to bring back, but we eat them ourselves.
We got to cut that out.
But the food at the restaurants, let me tell you, I have never been a huge seafood fan. I like shrimp and stuff like that, and I like snapper when we're down in the Gulf. But I have had seafood almost every day that we've been here. Lobster.
Oh. I had pad thai last night, chicken pad thai.
But it was different than any pad thai.
It was different. It was healthy. It was spinach and veggies, and I mean, it was satisfying. It was just so good. I think that lack of preservatives, I just can't say that enough. It's hard to find a restaurant where the food, to me, is clean.
So I've had lobster. I think, 2 lobster meals, and I plan to have more. The lobster is sweeter up here. They say it's the cold weather of the North Atlantic and Fundy Bay, which is nearby, which we were at. We've been out there around Fundy Bay for the last couple of weeks. But the thing that I have really been blown away with is scallops. We went to Digby, Nova Scotia, which is the self-proclaimed, but everybody agrees, the scallops capital of the world. Just fabulous. I can't begin to tell you how good those scallops are. And I had scallops again last night. I had scallops with linguine in Lunenburg.
And one of our friends had spaghetti with seafood.
Yeah, seafood spaghetti with mussels, and the seafood is so fresh and so good. Prices. We had a question from somebody who wanted to know about the prices. I think because the dollar is favored here if you pay with your American credit card. So our meal, I had a local beer, and we had the scallops linguine, and you had the
pad thai.
And our bill in U.S. dollars was about $50,
That was with the tip?
That was with the tip, which is pretty darn reasonable. That's with a 20% tip. So that's pretty reasonable. And I think the prices are fairly comparable, but because of that, because the U.S. dollar is worth more up here, you get more for your money.
Right.
So that was one question. The second question that we got from a number of you was, what are the campgrounds like in Canada? And that's probably where I'll say they could use a little work. That said, the most beautiful campground we ever stayed was at a place called Parker's Cove, Nova Scotia. Hands down, the most beautiful campground we ever stayed at. Look at this. This was our site for 4 days. It is so beautiful that some of the people on the tour suggested that we stop the tour and let's just stay here the rest of the 27 days. But now a few miles down, look at what we've got behind us. Isn't that gorgeous?
And they tell me it just keeps getting better and better.
But that campground's great. But the campgrounds can use some work.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, normally you have 30 amps.
There's no, well, we've not really encountered any 50 amp except the first campground, the Kiwanis Oceanfront Campground in St. Andrew by the Sea. That was great. That had 50 amp, but everything else has been 30 amp. The weather is
Beautiful today,
it's
perfect.
It's 86 degrees, but we have that beautiful breeze off the Atlantic. It's been, people everywhere we go, the locals are talking about the heat wave, where the temperature has normally been in the low 80s. It's 86 here today. I know it's a lot hotter down in the States, but the locals prefer it a little cooler, and I think we all do too.
We were all looking forward to a little bit cooler weather. The humidity is, but I guess you got that in the States as well. It makes it feel a lot warmer than the temperature. But when that breeze kicks in, awesome.
All right, so those are our questions of the week, and that's going to wrap it up for this podcast. We'll be back next week. We're a little over halfway done with this tour, so we will continue. We've been doing regular updates on our RV lifestyle community, and I urge you guys to check that out, community.rvlifestyle.com. If you've not joined that, what are you waiting for? That's where there's none of the nastiness on Facebook. We invite you to come over there and check that out, and we hope that you will enjoy that. So that's it for this week. We will be back with more, another podcast next week, and our email address, Mike and Jen at rvlifestyle.com.
Happy trails.